Now, construction of a multi-billion-dollar electric vehicle battery plant in Quebec has been temporarily halted. Sweden's Northvolt says it stopped the work because of a court case brought by an environmental group concerned about nearby wetland. Marina von Stackelberg explains.
The Quebec Centre for Environmental Law says the province is applying a double standard. The environmental group has successfully been granted an injunction that will halt construction of a massive electric battery factory east of Montreal until at least Tuesday. The company, Northvolt, began cutting down trees earlier this week after it got the go-ahead from Quebec's Environment Ministry. It is building a massive factory and is getting billions of dollars in provincial and federal money to make it happen. But environmental groups say proper environmental assessments for the project have not been done.
The experts of the Ministry of Environment, in their refusal of the previous project in the same place, mentioned how these are habitats of rich biodiversity, including at-risk species. These are wetlands that are now rare in the region that really have important ecological functions. So these same areas should be protected, in our opinion, when we're dealing with similar impacts for the environment.
That previous project was to build housing. It did not get the go-ahead from the province over concerns it could harm sensitive species, including birds and turtles. The land used to also be the location of an explosives factory. Now, despite all of this, last fall, Quebec's premier said the Northvolt project would not have to undergo an evaluation from the province's environmental watchdog. He said it didn't meet the threshold based on the scale of the battery production. But that threshold was changed just months before the project was announced. The Quebec government has denied doing that to accommodate Northvolt. This factory is one of several electric vehicle manufacturing projects Canada is pouring money into. The federal environment minister says it will be up to the court to decide whether Quebec's laws have been followed, and he can't comment on the case.
I can't obviously comment a cause that is in front of the tribunals right now when it comes to the complaint by the Centre québécois du droit de l'environnement and Northvolt. The tribunals will decide whether or not Quebec laws have been abided by.
Northvolt says it voluntarily stopped work on the site when it heard an injunction was being brought forward. The company says its projects meet some of the highest standards in the world, and it will continue to comply with environmental regulations, calling itself a pioneer in sustainable battery manufacturing. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Just now you heard in that piece from Marc Bishai. He is a lawyer at the Quebec Environmental Law Centre. It's also known as the CQDE, and was at the hearing this morning. Marc, it's good to speak with you.
Hello.
So you were at court. This was day one of the discussions with Northvolt. Did you hear what you were hoping to?
Well, the hearing this morning was postponed until Tuesday, and in the meantime, work has been suspended on the site, so that is at least some respite for the biodiversity that's present.
What's the end goal for your group, for your organization here?
There are many. One of them is, of course, to have some significant public participation, and of course, to get some transparency, which has been lacking so far. There is a registry of public environmental information that has been mandated in the law for over 6 years now, and we're still waiting on that. It's still not available online, which means that citizens have to go through access to information requests. These can sometimes take weeks, sometimes longer. And in the meantime, work had already begun on Monday, so we felt it was urgent to seek an injunction from the court.
Specific to this wetland site, can you tell us about this particular area, why it is so environmentally sensitive?
It's so sensitive that the previous housing project on the same site was refused by the Minister of Environment only months ago, less than a year ago. According to the ministry's own experts, these wetlands are among the last ones in the region. They provide precious ecological functions. They provide habitats for rich biodiversity, including at-risk species, such as the least bittern, which is listed as threatened, and as well as, quote, an impressive diversity of bird species. So when that previous project was refused and this current project is accepted on the same site, that really made us question whether there might be a double standard at work here.
Not that this needs to be a case of one or the other, but it is, when I first read into this story, we're talking about the building of electric vehicle batteries. Arguably, that is to the advantage of the environment. That is something to move forward with. And I assume that your group would be supportive of efforts like that. Are you concerned about the fact that you're delaying that from happening?
Well, of course, we are for a transition, but a transition that is democratic, that involves public participation, one that is transparent, where we can know and understand what is happening, and of course, have a say. So really, these are what we consider reasonable requests. These kinds of processes in Quebec take only a few months, whereas some of these impacts on sensitive areas, on rich biodiversity, can last for a long time. Some of them are permanent, according to the documents of the company itself. So we consider it quite reasonable.
Do you have any thoughts as to why that the housing project on this particular area of land was denied, but the Northvolt EV battery plant was not?
Well, that's exactly what we're asking the courts to shine a light on and explain why exactly when one project was proposed in the same site, it was refused, and another one now is accepted. When we look at the actual surface area of wetlands in the previous project was about half as big as the ones that will be impacted by the Northvolt project. So there's a lot of question marks, and that's one of the main impetuses of why we're doing this, is to have a better, clearer picture on what's happening.
So right now, the work on the Northvolt project is delayed until 5 p.m. on Tuesday to respect what's going on in the courts, according to the company. The company also saying that they plan to continue to abide by the environmental rules that are in effect. Come Tuesday, when you're back in the court, what will your group be presenting? What do you hope happens?
Well, we will be seeking this injunction, so it has only been postponed. We're relieved that there's been a suspension of the work until then, but we will ask the court for at least 10 days of suspension so that we can have a chance to go before the court and ask for really a proper understanding of what's going on with this project versus the previous one.
Marc Bishai, a lawyer at the Quebec Environmental Law Centre. Good to talk to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.